Hello, everybody. Welcome to this broadcast. Got a couple different broadcasts going on at the same time, so hopefully everybody can hear me as I'm broadcasting, just checking some of my levels, and everything's looking good so far. So hello, Facebook, Periscope, Arenas, all of you out there. My name is Mark DeJesus. I'm an author, speaker, a coach of helping people go to the next level in their lifestyle and their journey, helping them break through areas and barriers and all kinds of good stuff like that. Hope you had a healthy and great lunch and hope your energy's awesome, because I want to give you a 30-day challenge because I'm working with a lot of people that want to go to the next level. You're at DEFCON levels of discouragement. You're at huge levels where you need a breakthrough. You've been praying about something or working through something, and you don't have any idea how you're going to begin to start breaking through. You're stuck. And I want to give you something that can really help change and revitalize your life. We are living in a time right now where online and social media, in the news, there's a lot of tension. There's a lot of tension about our political situation. Whatever side you're on, whatever convictions you're on, they're intense. And people are coming at it with huge intensity. And in the process, our relationships are not having the vitality and having the impact that they need to have because we're getting distracted by lots of arguments. Meanwhile, we're coming out of a very negative, very defeated, very discouraging lens in our life and in our journey. So I want to propose to you something that is a fast. And people that have gone through it have told me, sometimes I feel like it's harder than doing a food fast. And here's what it is. It is a negativity fast. You see, what I've learned in my journey is if you want to make a change in your behavior, if you want to see something change, you want to see some things different in your life, I find it's very helpful if you try something for 30 days. People say, well, it didn't work. Well, how long did you do it? For a day? Or if I say, how did this go? Oh, it didn't work. I tried it for a week and it didn't work. Usually it takes at least 30 days for specific habits or specific things to kind of kick into gear. That's why they say a habit can be formed in 28 days, because there's rewiring that has to go on. There's a process called neuroplasticity where your brain has to let one type of thinking die so that another type of thinking can begin to become alive and become a way that you instinctively respond and look at situations. And so whether it's nutritional changes, whether it's lifestyle changes, whether it is relational changes, there are certain habits that I find, okay, I want to become more this. Then usually for 30 days, I've got to practice something non-negotiable in order to lead to that. So for instance, one of the things that was so hard for me to do all my years and all my life was getting up early in the morning. I liked the idea of it. I wanted to, but it was so hard for me to do it. So for years, I just said, I'm not a morning person. I'm just not a morning person, so I'm just going to leave it at that. And then I realized one day is how long am I going to live with that limitation on my identity? Because that's not what I want. Because usually what happens is when we don't see breakthrough or change, we start to label ourselves so we can feel better about where we're at and our limitations. I said, you know what, doggone it? No. I changed my mindset. I said, I'm going to start believing and telling myself every day, I am a morning person. What one action step can I do that really needs to change to make me a morning person? And for me, it was what time I went to bed. And I began to change that and invest in that. And for 30 days, I practiced new habits to make myself a morning person and came out of that a fully fledged morning capable morning person. I still have my days, still have my, exhaustion, all kinds of those kind of things you go through. But I do that with every area in my life. And every 30 days, I'm going through something different to add to the arsenal. It may be 30 days of a certain thing I'm doing with my eating, 30 days of certain declarations I'm saying every day, 30 days of a certain habit, a certain thing I'm going to write for 30 days. I wanted to become a better writer. So I remember a few years ago, for 30 days, I wrote a blog post every single day for 30 days. I didn't publish it and necessarily right on the spot, but I wrote them every morning. I got up and wrote a blog post about anywhere from 750 to 1,000 words a day on a certain topic. And it really boosted my writing ability. So I say all that to say, I want to put out there a challenge to everyone. And this is the best time. I thought about waiting till the new year to do this because the new year is a good time, restart, new things. But really, this in the Jewish calendar, this is the new year. And second of all, we are in election season right now, where negativity is at an all-time high. Listen, if you like Donald Trump, you are extremely negative about Hillary Clinton. If you like Hillary Clinton, you're extremely negative about Donald Trump. Or you're like many others who are just negative about both of them, negative about the country. And it's okay to be upfront about what's right and what's wrong. But it's gotten to the point where when you talk to people, what they're saying is oh, our government, oh, the world, oh, the United States. And what we're losing at the same time is we're losing our sense of hope. What it's doing is it's sucking out our ability to live in the power of hope. And hope is an anchor. Guys, hope is the anchor. Why are you letting society and the enemy and friends or loved ones steal your hope? People come to me and say, I'm discouraged. I'm in a pit. I'm in a tough place because over time, the enemy has sapped away their hope. What is your hope? Your hope is your divine vision, how you see your life now and into the future. What are you doing? Because your hope drives and motivates and propels everything that you do. It's how you see things. And so if that's broken, then somebody's stolen it. Your heart's been broken, love's been compromised, or your sense of goodness and the goodness of God has been robbed. Or here's the big one, flash across the screen, disappointment. You know, disappointments happen because where our expectation was of God in a certain area didn't pan out in the way that our expectation specifically panned it out. So we get upset with God, we get upset at our circumstances, we get upset at life, or you get upset at your neighbor or whatever. And so I feel that this is a time for us. Listen, there's a lot of things about your circumstances. Some of you watching this, there's things in your life you can't do a whole lot about. But there is one thing you can be 100% in charge of, and that's your attitude. That is your emotional state. You are 100% in charge of your self-management. How you manage your mood and your state is everything. In fact, I'm in the process of developing teachings I'm going to be doing down the road, all about how to manage, cultivate an empowered state and to have a manage over your mood to the point that you are a powerful vessel for the kingdom of God. Because if calamity or problems hit you, if you have a healthy state that you're in, you can go into, okay, what do we need to do? What's the right thing? What's the right positioning? How should our mindset be in this? All kinds of stuff like that. If you don't have a good state and a problem arises, then that whole thing's just going to take you out. It's going to take you out even further than you already were. You're like, man, I was already having a bad day. And now this, one of the ways we can jumpstart our emotional state and how we manage our thoughts and our overall demeanor is jumping into a 30-day negativity fast. Now, if you want to jump into this, all you got to do is go to markdejesus.com, and right there is a logo of a kid flexing his muscles, says 30-day fast free resource. Click on it. You just got to give us your email and confirm it, and it'll show you a download page that you go to where you can download the resource. And I outline what the negativity fast is, what we focus on. I give you links to some resources, to some other great writers that are doing great stuff in this area. And then I also give practical application. One of them is, for example, on social media. For 30 days, you are doing nothing but just breathing life into people. You're not bashing others. You're not doing the passive-aggressive thing. You're not promoting one thing by bashing another. You're just there to breathe life, encourage, and point out everything God is doing, point out the good that God is doing. I saw somebody that posted on Facebook, they listened to our podcast, they took the challenge and they have a little jar, and every time they fall into negativity, they're throwing money in the jar. You can do something with coworkers where you say, hey, I'm going to do a negativity fast. And, we're going to stick, coins in the jar every time we're negative, or we're going to keep up on each other, because this will help jumpstart a bunch of things in your life. And on social media, for example, I even say in the outline, in the document that you'll download, I say on it, don't click like on somebody that says a nasty comment about somebody. I'm bringing it down to a real narrow level here of we want to be hope focused. The hope of God in every situation, every circumstance. We want to see life. We want to point out life in circumstances. We want to encourage life and hope into situations. Okay? So in doing a 30-day negativity fast, there's a couple things that are going to happen. One is you're going to condition your brain in what it's going to be meditating on and allowing to be the focus. And you're going to find, when you do a food fast, or like say you do juicing and you say, I'm going to give up coffee, give up sugar, give up bread, and give up, garbage and processed foods. And I'm going to do a juice fast. You feel like horrible in the first day, horrible in the first few days. Why? Because your body's detoxing. And then after that, you start to feel amazing. And you go, I never want to go back to this. Well, this is what I'm praying the negativity fast will do, is it will begin to rewire your mind on what it accumulates over the course of the day. You're either accumulating empowering or disempowering thoughts. And so this will help jumpstart that to begin to focus your mind on that which is going to be helpful and fruitful for your journey. It will also, there's a couple things that I want to tell you it's going to help you do. Number one, it's going to help you change your focus. What are you focused on when you wake up in the morning? In the 30-day negativity fast, I break it down into 4-week segments. And each week has a certain emphasis. So week 1 is going to be all about Thanksgiving. It's all about focusing on gratitude all day, every day for a whole week. You're just grateful. And everything that comes out of you, you're focusing on, you're talking about, you're looking for things to be grateful for and to point out your gratitude. Then there's another week where it's just all about giving, all about being generous in your life. There's a week in there about praise and declaration, where that's the emphasis, okay? There's a week there about pointing out the hope and the good that you see in others, going out of your way to write a letter to somebody who made a difference in your life, write an email to thank someone, make a list of people that have made a difference in your life. Even if they're not in your life, or even if they turned out to be scumbags someday, you're grateful for what they deposited in your life in the season that you were in with them. Anyways, so what's going to change is your focus. What you focus on grows. What you determine. So think about right now, what are you focused on? That's going to keep growing. That's going to expand. It's going to gain momentum. The negative fast is going to change your focus. Also, it's going to change what you look for. So if you're cranky and you're having a terrible day and you're negative all over and you go out driving, if one person drives in front of you the wrong way, you get upset. And now you transpose that on everybody. You blanket that on everybody. Oh, the roads, people are crazy out there. And you just blanket over everybody. A negative picture, and studies have even shown that all it takes is one instance that is negative for then you to plaster that on everything. And it's a terrible thing that happens to your brain. You get brokenhearted by one person, and then everybody like that person, it's a bunch of scumbags. You get hit by a church, and all church are terrible. You get betrayed in business, all business people are jerks. You get hurt by a female, all females are jerks. You get hurt by a male, all males are jerks. So it causes you to look out for something. The brain is very trained on what it looks out for. Whatever grid you have is what it's going to look for. For example, let's say you want a new car and you're like, oh, I really like that SUV, that black Escalade or whatever, you're like, I want to get all you're going to see is Escalades everywhere. You're going to drive and go, oh my goodness, everyone's driving Escalades, because you're looking for it and you pick it up. Listen, if you're looking for something to be negative about, you're going to find it. There's plenty to pick from. So you have to determine the state that you're going to cultivate, because then that determines what you're going to look for. It also begins to determine and shift what's the narrative. What's the story of my life that I'm listening to? Guys, this is one of the biggest things I've had to change, is what's my story? What's the story I'm carrying over my life and over my circumstances? What's the background narrative that I'm following? Is it, I can't catch a break, nothing works for me, people don't love me, people don't like me, money never comes in, my family stinks, my marriage, whatever, I just always get hurt, whatever your story is, that will be what you head towards. And it will be what you manifest. It's the identity you'll come into agreement with. Because we all come into agreement with the identity that matches the story we're walking in. Did you hear what I said? We all live according to an identity that matches the story that we're listening to. So if I'm listening to an overall story that, things never work out for me, my identity will match that. Because if I break agreement with that story, I now have to break agreement with a different and come into alignment with a different identity for a different story. So you say, well, how do I do that? Start with a negativity fast. Start with getting the negativity out of your life. Now, some of you listening to this and be like, well, that means my spouse, I got to get them out. I'm talking about you and what you're listening to, what you're inputting, and what's coming out of your mouth, and what is the atmospheric spiritual temperature of your life. Because who you are is what you give off. So if you're full of negativity, if you're full of hopelessness and discouragement, that's what you're giving off to people. Whether you say it or not, they are feeling the sense of what that effect is doing in your life, and they will feel it in their life. Listen, we leak, people. We leak. We leak out what is inside of us. So if you're depressed, you can walk into a room, say nothing, and leak out that depression. And anyone in the room who is at a neutral state, what I mean by a neutral state is they haven't decided, I'm going to be hopeful today, and they haven't decided, I'm going to be pessimistic or disempowered today. They're neutral. Anyone who's neutral will get sucked into the depression. It's just a fact of life. If you don't determine your state, someone else will determine it for you. It doesn't mean that all of a sudden you flick a switch and everything changes. The key is, what direction are you headed in? And wherever direction you're headed in, you're investing in your thoughts about where that direction's leading you and who you are becoming. So join me, folks. I know for the next 30 days, it's leading right up to election date. Why not, as a people of God, rise up and be people filled with hope, with positivity, with life, breathe life into situations and circumstances. Breathe life, and instead of taking the negativity and spiraling, take it to prayer. Be the salt of the earth. Be the hope in your world. And I know you can do this. So sign up, send me an email, comment below, let me know, click like, share it, do whatever. Come on, let's change people's lives, get the negativity out, and let God arise, let hope arise in our lives.